Hello all, welcome to another episode of Friday I Am in Love Art Shares. I am Yuli Anand, the artist and visionary behind these artworks, and today we're going to be talking about my piece 1111. 1111 is very significant at this time. Many of you know the significance of the number 1111. Sometimes it means make a wish. Sometimes it means that your departed loved ones are with you. And sometimes it stands for a new beginning. And so I feel like the collective energy at the time of this recording is pointing and pushing a finger on the button of us stepping into a new shift, that we're shifting into a whole new paradigm and a whole new way of being, of sort of becoming a bit more aligned with our soul essence and our soul's purpose and walking our destiny line. And that's exactly what this girl here is doing. And so a little bit about the piece first. This is a photograph that has only been slightly edited in Photoshop, and it's 24 by 30 inches. It's mounted onto an aged panel. So the aged part is that I applied a charred wood finish to the edges, which I can show you here. So that is the charred wood finish. So you can still sort of see some wood grain in there. Pardon the glare. And this piece is about stepping into a new beginning, into a new paradigm, into a new self, bold and vulnerable. She's naked, and you don't get much more vulnerable than being naked. But she's not concerned about it. She's shed her old skin and she's stepping forward into the light. And now the light can be just as intimidating as the darkness when stepping into, say, a void period, where then usually signifying that is sitting in, being cloaked in darkness, and you can't see your hand in front of your face. Well, the same thing goes with the opposite polarity of, if something is way too bright, there's no way you can see through all of that brightness. And so here there's this divine bright white light that's shining down upon her, like right in the path, and she can't see, but her posturing is very upright, her shoulders are back, and it denotes confidence and trust and faith. This image is also part of my upcoming Oracle deck, and this image is number 11 in the Oracle deck, and it is faith and trust. And so when I come out with that deck and you draw that card, it is beckoning for you to have faith and trust, and it's like surrender to the unknown, because and just know that you are held in the divine's hands, and kind of let go and let God. And that's what happens when we move into a shift, when we experience a shift in our life. It's okay, well, I'm ready. I have this big, bold vision, and I'm ready to step into it. There's a whole heck of a lot of fear there, but the faith and the trust way outweighs the fear. And so that's where we're getting to. That's what we're trying to get to. And so the creation of this piece actually was out of faith and trust. She was born. I was actually photographing for a different piece of mine, which was Spiritual Awakening. And Spiritual Awakening it's me as a statue, and I'm sitting there in easy pose with my hands in Gyan Mudra, and as if I'm a statue, and the statue is cracking open. You can see then part of my human face. And inside here is her heart space. And it is a whole nother room within. And it's got a little tiny version of me kneeling in front of this doorway, which was my bathroom at the time when I lived in Ohio. And I was kneeling in front of it, and I had my arms up like this and my back to the camera. And so it would create a silhouette. And so I had a bunch of strobe lights here, and then I had a white curtain that I shone that would diffuse the light, and that created the silhouette. Well, as I was walking down the hallway to get into position, I heard my spirit guides say, "Why don't you fire off a couple of shots as you're walking down the hall?" Of course, I am a rebel and very strong-willed and independent, and you're not going to tell me my creative process. But, and I was like, why? Why should I fire off some shots? That's just silly. I'm not going to use these. And my spirit team said, well, I think that you should. And so I just humored them, and I fired off a couple of shots as I was walking down the hallway to get into position for my spiritual awakening shoot. Now keep in mind, the spiritual awakening image, my guidance team had told me exactly step by step how to create that piece. Told me exactly like what mudra to hold, what position to sit in, what it was going to look like, which of my, not stock background, but my personal background images, my landscape images that I was going to use in that piece, and exactly how to just create the whole thing. And, yet I was still arguing with them. But I did. I listened, and I fired off a couple of shots. I had then created Spiritual Awakening, and it was doing really well. A lot of people were really resonating with it. This was shortly after COVID and quarantine, and a lot of people were awakening during this time. A lot of people were having their grand awakening during COVID and quarantine. It was like a grand awakening, a mass awakening for the collective. And so after that, probably about a year or so, I had completely forgotten about the extra shots that Spirit had guided me to take. Well, I was walking to the forest one day, still living in Ohio, but about to move to Atlanta. And Spirit said, remember those shots that we asked you to take when you're creating Spiritual Awakening? And of course, I was like, oh, yeah. Well, we want you to take one of those shots, and we want you just to basically use it as is. Maybe you can do a couple of tweaks to it, but we want you to use it as is. We want you just to get it done and be finished with it. So when I create, I should say, for those of you that don't know me, I create from visions that I receive in meditation from my spirit team and my angels, my loved ones on the other side, usually pertaining to some sort of lesson or message for myself, and therefore for the collective. And usually it involves a great deal of research and process as far as me moving through a spiritual development of some sort, evolution of some sort, so that way then I can put that more into the piece. And then afterwards, the piece continues to speak to me after that, telling me, giving me different perspectives. And then when the audience shares with me what they see and what they get out of it sometimes a totally different message than what I had received or that I had perceived. And that then continues the medicine for me as I'm giving the medicine out to others. And so with this piece, for them to tell me, listen, there's no process. You're just simply going to take the image. You're going to use it as is. Maybe you'll do some basic photography edits, you know, dodging and burning here and there, maybe amp up some contrast. But we want you to get it in, get it out, kind of a thing. And usually Spirit has a, like, divine timing definitely works when I'm creating. And sometimes they just want me to get it out in digital and show it to the world that way through digital medium, sort of like in social medias and things like that. And also on my phone, sharing it with other people. And sometimes that's like the initial way, but this piece needed to just be completed, and it had a definite timeline in which it needed to be. It's almost like Spirit was giving me a deadline, like they were my client or my boss, and had hired me to create this piece. And so I had, you know, it didn't take me but maybe an hour or a couple of hours, sit down. And the only thing that I had changed with the shot is that, you know, this was a doorway here. And so I just extended this light up, and I pretty much got rid of the threshold here that was some cheesy, you know, bathroom threshold. And yeah, and then extended, of course, this wall upwards and this lighting here. But otherwise, the lighting and everything is as shot, including this here, which I did extend as well. And then that was it. And I already had a panel, so I went ahead and darkened that and printed it on cotton rag paper. So this is an archival pigment print that is then mounted onto that panel. And after that, I used clear gel acrylic medium and just did some brush strokes straight down vertical, and then also here to sort of give some texture and some dimension and added depth and a little bit of added sheen as well, as you can kind of see here as I move the camera, the light around. And I'll bring it a little bit closer for you also, so you can see the details in the floor and the subject. But so, yeah, and then she was born. And which I should also say that she was actually created or born. So I did the digital part in Ohio. And then as I was traveling to Atlanta to review some galleries and check out some gallery spaces for my artwork, I was in some traffic, and an Angels and Airways song had come on the radio, something about everything's magic. And it just seemed like the sky lit up super bright to where it was hard to see. And I just got these goosebumps, chill bumps all over me. And it just seemed like I was sort of like driving into a portal to a new beginning. I just knew that I was going to be moving to Atlanta, and that this was going to be it. This was going to be something really incredible was going to happen for me there. And true, it did. It did end up happening for me there. That's where